What's up guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today I'm gonna discuss some of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make when moving into the mid game. Personally, I also made every single one of those mistakes, so my campaign push is kind of low efficiency, and I'm still trying to correct some of them. If you are one of the lazy people in the game like me, you probably don't care about those, but if you want to save some materials and push faster, I would like to share those today, so you guys will not make the same mistakes when you get out of the early game. Before going into that, I want to say that I really appreciate your feedback. It's a great way for me to learn and get better at the game. This video is primarily inspired by your feedback from previous videos, so if you don't agree with my points or you want to add something, feel free to do so, and more people can also learn from it. So there are 4 big mistakes that you should avoid in mid-game based on my experience. The first one is using the same mindset as early game. This one is very important because early game, mid-game, and late game all have different focus and primary targets you need to pay attention to. Some of the good habits you have in the early game can actually hurt your mid-game progression if you play the same way. What I mean by that is, in the early game, you sort of need to build your teams around several carry heroes, so you need to do general summons and faction summons as soon as you have those scrolls and diamonds. So one of the habits I developed in the early game is I would do general summons immediately when I have 2.7k diamonds. I did this throughout my early game and mid game. Now I realized I wasted so much diamonds that could have been invested in Celestials and Hypogean heroes. I now have so many trash 5-star heroes that I literally never use. So if you have your primary carry teams, you should stop using diamonds for general summon. If you need some specific heroes, you can always use the hero choice pack. Otherwise, please focus your diamonds in stargazing and time gazing. The second mistake is using the same mindset as old meta. This might only apply to older players whose progression are kind of slow because they experience different meta, whereas new players only need to know how to play in the current meta. Around 3 years ago when I started playing, there was no engraving, no furniture, no beasts, no awakened heroes, no fancy artifacts, so the game has evolved a lot, and every time a new system is introduced, you sort of need to change your approach on your progression. Right now, although for some heroes you still need to max out everything, for most heroes the biggest power spike is 1 star instead of 5 stars because you have engraving effects, which are more powerful than some hero copies. So when building your teams, you no longer need to get 5 stars for every hero like 3 years ago, and for some heroes you can just change your wishlist when they reach 1 star. I think the third mistake is the most important because it dramatically affects your campaign efficiency, and that is resource allocation. For this one, you really need to understand each hero's biggest power spike and not overinvest in them. If you still invest those heroes after their power spike, you are literally just wasting your materials. I'm sure there are a lot of YouTubers who know every hero better than me, so I will just give a few examples. For heroes like Ainz, you sort of need to max out everything, because he is a nuclear bomb. The more investment, the more burst power and damage output. For Lucretia, you only need her to be 1 star to work. 1 star and 5 stars do not really make a difference for Lucretia. You still need her maxed out furniture and signature item. For Ana, I think you only need her ascended level, because her biggest power spike comes from her signature item and furniture, which gives the frontline damage immunity. And for other gimmick heroes such as Thorin, you need to understand each of them individually. For Thorin, engraving is a negative thing to do, because his damage output is from damage reflection to enemy heroes, and engraving gives him more stats, which reduces his damage reflection. You don't even need mythic armor for him because it's another unnecessary stat increase. The better option is the rare armor, which gives him accuracy instead of physical resistance. The last point is don't all in your materials when a new system is introduced. My point is when a new system is released, usually the first few available options are not very good. They will always release better options. For example, the first awakened hero is Talene. She is one of the lowest priority up to today. You obviously have awakened Solace as a better option for PvP, which is released later than Talene. Also for beasts, the original 3 beasts are not that outstanding in all sort of contents in comparison to the newer ones released. You get my point, just be patient, especially if you are free to play, because it takes a lot of time to save those resources. So yeah, those are some of the big mistakes in mid-game that I discovered throughout my AFK Arena journey. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me or you have different ideas? And feel free to share. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.